Ruby Barr again, Southside Community Law Center, and this time we're going to discuss probate. What is it and is it needed? Now, everything that we're going to be discussing today is only for those that live within the state of Florida or own property within the state of Florida. Now, I'm a licensed attorney in the state of Florida. I am not licensed in any other states. And so this information is also, it is just information. This is not legal advice. And so it is important that if you have further questions that you would contact an attorney. Hopefully you can get someone that will do a free consultation. But again, this is information only. So it's important. So now, when we talk about probate, what is probate? When we're talking probate, somebody has passed away. My condolences. Somebody has passed away, probably a family member or maybe even a spouse. And so they've left assets. Some of those assets could be real estate. It could be a vehicle, retirement, bank accounts, all sort of things. And so you need to figure out, well, how will I be able to access those things? Because if it's a bank account and your name is not on the bank account, either as a co-owner or what we call POD, payable on death, you're not going to be able to access that bank account without going through this process. There are a lot of banks in Florida, they won't even talk to you. Not at all. They won't even confirm or verify whether or not there even is a bank account. And they're definitely not going to tell you how much is in the bank account. And so probate is a process in order to transfer or obtain the assets of the person that has passed away into a living person's name, okay? Not a criminal, okay? Your family members. That's important to understand, your family members. So now, what are some of the other things? Let me tell you another reason why you need probate. There's a house mortgage and you're not on the mortgage. And that bank or that loan company or that mortgage company, they're not going to talk to you either. There are those, they will not verify or confirm whether or not there is a mortgage. Even though you can give them the account number, you can give them the payment amount, you can give them pretty much everything that's needed, except for whoever the person is whose name is on that account. You can't give them that. And because of that reason, there are a lot of these institutions, they will not talk to you at all, except to tell you, I'm sorry, we cannot provide you with any information. And so that's real crucial. And in those type of situations, you will have to do a probate. Again, the process in which you have to deal with the assets and or business of the person that is deceased. So now in Florida, there's 3 types of processes. Now, let's go with the simplest one, the one where you actually don't need an attorney and you're able to do it yourself. Many of the clerk of courts in the state of Florida have forms on their websites, and you can actually access those forms right through the website. That process is called disposition without administration. Now, these are for very, very small amounts of money, generally not over $10,000. And there's some things that are, there's some conditions. Say, for instance, the dearly departed left $5,000 in the bank, and the insurance or an insurance policy with no named beneficiary, $5,000. Now the funeral was $6,000. Wow, that's going to make it a whole lot easier, because if you paid the funeral, then you can be reimbursed. Now there is a process, I'm kind of simplifying things, but just so that you know that there is a process involved in which you can actually be reimbursed if you paid the funeral, or if you owe the funeral company, then they can then be paid in full. Their balance can be satisfied. Before we go any further too, you have to have death certificates in the state of Florida for these probate processes. It's really important that you understand that there's more than one death certificate in the state of Florida. Some people don't know that. There's a long form. It has the cause of death. because most insurance companies, that's what they want to know. They want to know, how did the person pass away? But when you're doing probate, you cannot have the cause of death on your death certificate. That's called a short form. Now, most funeral homes will provide you with copies of death certificates, certified copies. You will have paid for them, of course, but they will provide you with those copies. Generally, those long death certificates have the cause of death on it. And you would have to either go to your local health department to obtain a short form, or you can write Jacksonville and obtain one. Traditional probate, there's two types. There's a formal administration where there's just a lot of stuff going on. Or there's what's called summary administration. Summary, think about that. Shortcut version, abbreviated version. Two ways that you can qualify for summary administration. Summary administration, the person has been dead more than 2 years. Now, I like that because it doesn't matter the dollar amount. It can be $500,000 estate. That person's been deceased more than 2 years, then no liens can be attached to that property, unless there are a lien before the person passed. But other than that, you can. That's a good way to resolve that situation. Do the summary administration. It's not cost prohibitive. It's not as involved as formal administration. Now, formal administration is when the person's been deceased less than 2 years. The estate is probably more than $75,000, or in some instances, and we've seen this, it's not even about a dollar amount, but there has to be a personal representative for the estate in order to transact some business. And so many people come here to our office because they need a personal representative, somebody to talk to the mortgage company, to talk to the bank, or whomever, whatever is going on. And so now with summary administration, a personal representative is not going to be appointed. But in formal, a personal representative is going to be appointed. It is known as letters of administration. That's how they get appointed. And then they're able to transact all of the business for the decedent, the deceased person, your loved one, as if they were that person. Now, there's two ways you can become a personal representative. The last will and testament can say, I appoint that my sister be personal representative and that she serve without bond. Or there's no will, then the family members get to make that decision. There's a surviving spouse. Surviving spouse will be the personal representative. If there's no surviving spouse, or that surviving spouse declines to be the personal representative, then the other relatives, the children, they can decide among themselves. Always remember, now if you can't decide, trust me, the judge is going to make that decision. Okay, so again, there are three types of probate. There's dispositional administration. That's where there's a small amount of money that's somewhere, a bank, an insurance company, what have you, and that amount is equal to or less than what was in the what was paid to the funeral, and so that you're able to then access that without an attorney. Most clerk of courts forms, most clerk of courts on their website, they have that packet that's available. And then there's summary administration. The estate is less than $75,000, which is probably the homestead. Homestead is always counted as zero, and the person the person has been deceased for more than 2 years. And then, of course, there's formal administration. You absolutely positively need an attorney for formal administration. And so again, now there are things that are involved with probate of the person left certain type of debts. If, car note, mortgage, internal revenue is involved, what have you. These are not things that we can discuss because that's getting a little more involved. That's when you really need to contact an attorney. There are some attorneys that do free consultations or consultation for a small dollar amount. But it's imperative that you seek legal advice because you want to protect the assets of your loved one. So that's really, really important. And again, this is Ruby Barr with Southside Community Law Center, making sure that you understand that knowledge is power, information is king.